A poor single mother was huddled under a leaking bus shelter with her young son when she noticed a little girl standing alone across the street, soaked and shivering. Without a moment's hesitation, she and her son ran through the rain, shielded the girl and led her into a nearby corner store to warm up. Even though she hadn't eaten all day, she used her last $2 to buy the little girl a warm sandwich. What she didn't know was that the frightened child she had just rescued was the daughter of a billionaire, and that this small act of kindness would change her life forever. Before we dive deeper into this story, tell us where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories every day. Rain hammered against the bus shelter's plastic roof as Maya Johnson huddled there with 5-year-old Malik pressed against her side. The October storm had rolled into Houston with unexpected fury, turning the streets into rivers and the sky into a sheet of gray. Maya glanced at her watch, a cheap thing with a cracked face, the last gift from her mother before the cancer took her 6 months ago. 5:30. She had exactly 30 minutes to get Malik home and make it across town to Tony's Grill for her first shift. Her very first real job in 8 months of searching, of scraping by on food stamps and the kindness of their church community. Earlier that afternoon, she'd stopped at the corner store with her last $11.47. Malik needed to eat a real meal. She'd bought him chicken tenders, a small container of mac and cheese and apple juice. He'd devoured it at Miss Jennifer's daycare while Maya watched, her own stomach growling. That left her with $2.35, just enough for a small coffee and maybe a pack of crackers to get her through her shift. "Mama, I'm full," Malik said, patting his stomach contentedly. "That was so good." "I'm glad, baby." Maya smoothed his hair, grateful that at least one of them had eaten properly today. A movement across the street caught her attention. A child, a little girl no older than 8, stood alone on the corner beneath the awning of a closed boutique. Her school uniform was expensive looking. Crisp white blouse with an embroidered crest, navy skirt, but she was soaked through, her blonde hair plastered to her face. A pink backpack sat at her feet. What struck Maya most was her expression, the blank, distant look of someone who'd retreated somewhere deep inside themselves. "Mama, that girl is all alone," Malik whispered. Maya checked her watch again. 27 minutes. If she crossed the street, if she stopped to help, she'd be cutting it dangerously close. Tony had been clear on the phone. 6 o'clock sharp, not a minute later. "I got 3 other people wanting this job." But the little girl stood there in the rain, and Maya couldn't look away. "Come on, baby," she said, taking Malik's hand. They dashed across the rain-slicked street, dodging puddles. Up close, Maya could see the girl's eyes were red-rimmed, though no tears fell. She clutched her backpack to her chest like a life preserver, and her lips had taken on a bluish tint from the cold. "Hi there," Maya said gently, crouching down to the girl's level. "Are you okay? Are you waiting for someone?" The girl blinked slowly, as if coming back from somewhere far away. Her voice, when it came, was small and mechanical. "My driver, Mr. Harris, is supposed to pick me up." "How long have you been waiting, sweetheart?" The girl's brow furrowed. "Since school ended." 3 o'clock. Maya's heart clenched. 2.5 hours. This child had been standing in the rain for 2.5 hours. "What's your name, honey?" "Sophia." "Sophia Whitaker. I'm Maya, and this is my son Malik. Do you have a phone number we can call? For your daddy or Mr. Harris?" Sophia shook her head. "My phone is at home. I forgot it this morning. Daddy was mad about that." "What about your school? Maybe we could go back and call from there." "It's locked now. Everyone went home. Miss Peterson walked me here and waited with me, but she had to pick up her own kids. She said Mr. Harris would come soon." Sophia's voice remained flat, emotionless, but her hands trembled as they gripped her backpack. Maya pulled out her own phone. 9% battery and no charger until she got home. She checked her watch. 23 minutes. "Mama, she's shivering," Malik said, his voice worried. He was right. Despite the expensive uniform, Sophia wore no jacket, and the October rain, while not cold by northern standards, was cool enough to be dangerous after hours of exposure. Maya made a decision. She pulled off her own thin jacket and draped it over Sophia's shoulders. The girl looked up at her with surprise, the first real emotion Maya had seen cross her face. "Let's get you warm and figure out how to reach your family," Maya said. She glanced around. The boutique behind them was closed, but 2 doors down was a small bodega, still open, lights glowing in the growing dusk. "Come on, both of you." Inside the bodega, the warmth was immediate. The owner, Mr. Garcia, looked up from his newspaper. "Miss Maya, you need something." "Mr. Garcia, do you have a phone book? This young lady is waiting for her ride, and we need to find her family." Mr. Garcia's expression softened when he saw Sofia. "Poor Nina. Yes, I have phone book. You use my phone, no charge." But Sofia shook her head. "I don't know the numbers. They're all in my phone." Maya bit her lip, thinking, "What about your school? Do you know the name?" "St. Catherine's Academy." Mr. Garcia was already flipping through the yellow pages. "St. Catherine's, I know this school. Very fancy. Here is number." But when Maya called, she got only a recording. "The office is closed. If this is an emergency, please contact." She hung up before the message finished. "No help there." "What's your daddy's name, Sofia?" "His full name, Daniel Whitaker. He runs Whitaker Medical Technologies." Mr. Garcia's eyebrows shot up. "Whitaker, the big medical company on the west side." Maya's stomach sank. This wasn't just a wealthy family. This was a powerful family. The kind of family that might wonder why their daughter was in a bodega with a stranger. "Mr. Garcia, can I use your computer for just a minute? To look up the company number?" "CC, of course." He gestured to the ancient desktop behind the counter. As Maya searched, she was acutely aware of time ticking away. 19 minutes until her shift started. 18, 17. She found the main number for Whitaker Medical Technologies and dialed on Mr. Garcia's phone. "Whitaker Medical Technologies, this is Jennifer. How may I direct your call?" "Hi, I need to speak with Daniel Whitaker. It's about his daughter. Mr. Whitaker is in a meeting. Can I take a message? His daughter has been waiting in the rain for almost 3 hours. Her driver never showed up. This is an emergency." There was a pause. "Who is this?" "My name is Maya Johnson. I found his daughter waiting alone at." She turned to Sofia. "Where exactly is your school, honey?" "Westheimer and Fountain View." Maya relayed the location. "She's been here since 3 o'clock. She's cold and wet, and I'm patching you through right now. Please hold." The hold music seemed to last forever. Maya checked her watch. 15 minutes. "This is Daniel Whitaker." The voice was clipped, professional, barely concealing annoyance at being interrupted. "Mr. Whitaker, my name is Maya Johnson. I'm with your daughter Sofia. She's been waiting for her driver since 3 o'clock. And what? Where is she? Where's Harris?" The professional veneer cracked instantly. "I don't know, sir. She's been waiting at the corner of Westheimer and Fountain View. She's okay, just cold and wet. We're in Garcia's bodega right now. I'm leaving right now. Don't move. Please don't leave her. I'm coming." The line went dead. Maya set down the phone and turned to find Sofia watching her with those distant eyes. "Your daddy's coming, sweetheart. He'll be here soon." "He was in a meeting," Sofia said, her voice still flat. "He's always in meetings." Something in that simple statement broke Maya's heart. "Well, he's not in a meeting anymore. He's coming to get you." Maya checked her watch. 12 minutes. She pulled out her phone and texted Tony's Grill. "Running late, family emergency, will be there as soon as I can." The response came quickly. "You're either here at 6 or you're not here at all. Your choice." Maya stared at the message, then at Sofia's pale face, then at Malik, who was showing Sofia his favorite toy car, trying to make her smile. She typed back, "I understand. I'm sorry. Mama." Malik looked up at her. "Are you okay?" Maya knelt down and pulled both children close. "I'm fine, baby. Everything's going to be fine." Mr. Garcia approached with 3 cups of hot chocolate. "On the house," he said quietly. "The Nina needs to warm up." "Mr. Garcia, I can't. No arguments. You stay as long as you need. The girl's father, he is coming." "See." "Yes, sir. Thank you." They sat on the bench by the window, the 3 of them, drinking hot chocolate, while rain continued to hammer against the glass. Malik chattered away, telling Sofia about his day, about the blocks he'd built, about his best friend Carlos who could jump really high. Sofia listened in silence, but Maya noticed her hands had stopped trembling and a little color had returned to her cheeks. Maya's stomach growled audibly. She still had $2.35 in her pocket. enough for a small coffee and maybe a pack of crackers. But looking at Sophia's thin frame, at the way the girl's uniform hung on her like she'd lost weight recently, Maya made another decision. Mr. Garcia, could I get one of those sandwiches from the case? The turkey and cheese one. For you, Miss Maya. For Sophia, she needs to eat something. Mama, you haven't eaten, Malik whispered. I'll eat at home, baby. I'm okay. The sandwich cost $2.50 with tax. Maya counted out her remaining money, $2.35. She was 15 cents short. Mr. Garcia, I'm sorry, I'm a little short. Could I maybe get— No, you take the sandwich. Pay me next time. He waved off her protests. The Niña needs to eat. Maya's eyes stung with tears she refused to let fall. Thank you. I'll pay you back, I promise. She unwrapped the sandwich and handed it to Sophia. Here, sweetheart, you should eat something. Sophia looked at the sandwich, then at Maya. Aren't you hungry? I already ate. Maya lied smoothly. Go ahead. Sophia took a small bite, then another, then suddenly seemed to realize how hungry she was, and ate with more enthusiasm. That's it, Maya encouraged. Good girl. They'd been there maybe 20 minutes, when a sleek black town car screeched to a halt outside the bodega. A tall man in an expensive suit leaped out, not bothering to close his door, and ran inside. Sophia. He dropped to his knees in front of her, his hands shaking as he touched her face, her shoulders, checking for injury. Oh God, baby girl, are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm okay, Daddy. Sophia's voice was still flat, but she leaned into her father's touch. Daniel Whitaker looked up at Maya, and she saw tears streaming down his face. You found her. You stayed with her. His voice broke. Thank you so much. She's a brave girl, Maya said softly. She did everything right, staying where her teacher left her, waiting patiently. Daniel pulled Sophia into his arms, and Maya saw the man's shoulders shake with silent sobs. When he finally pulled back, he seemed to remember himself, wiping his face with the back of his hand. I'm Daniel Whitaker, he said, standing and extending his hand. I don't know how to thank you properly. Maya Johnson. And this is my son Malik. Maya shook his hand, noting the firm grip, the calluses that suggested he wasn't just a businessman, but someone who worked with his hands too. I'm just glad she's safe. Harris had a heart attack, Daniel said, his voice hollow. He's in the hospital. I didn't know. I was in a board meeting, and my phone was on silent, and nobody could reach me. And he looked down at Sophia. Baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The lady gave me a sandwich, Sophia said, holding up the last bite, and hot chocolate, and her jacket. Only then did Daniel seem to notice that Maya was standing there in just a thin t-shirt, still damp from the rain, while Sophia wore her jacket. You gave her your coat, he said quietly. Maya shrugged. She was cold. Daniel stared at her for a long moment, something unreadable in his expression. Then he turned to Mr. Garcia. Whatever Miss Johnson bought, I'm paying for it, and whatever debt she has here, I'm covering it. Oh no, Mr. Whitaker, that's not necessary. Maya started. Please, Daniel interrupted. It's the absolute least I can do. You found my daughter, kept her safe, fed her, kept her warm. His voice cracked again. You were there when I wasn't. The guilt in his voice was palpable. Mr. Garcia, Daniel continued, I'd like to make a donation to your store as well, for your kindness. No necessary, senor. I am happy to help. I insist. Daniel pulled out his wallet and handed Mr. Garcia several bills. Please, Mr. Garcia nodded, accepting gracefully. Daniel turned back to Maya. Please, let me buy you dinner, both of you. There's a diner 2 blocks from here, Sullivan's. It's the least I can do. Maya's first instinct was to refuse. She didn't need charity. But Malik was looking at her with hope in his eyes, and her stomach was eating itself, and she just lost her job anyway. What difference would another hour make? That would be nice, she heard herself say. Thank you. 20 minutes later, they were settled in a corner booth at Sullivan's Diner, a cozy establishment with checkered floors and red vinyl seats that had been a Houston institution for 40 years. The warmth was a blessing after the cold rain, and Maya felt herself begin to thaw. Daniel ordered without looking at the menu, clearly a regular. 4 burgers, 1 plain for Sophia, fries all around, chocolate milkshakes for the kids, and coffee for us. He glanced at Maya. Unless you'd prefer something else. That's perfect, thank you. While they waited for their food, Daniel made several phone calls. First to the hospital to check on Mr. Harris, then to his assistant to cancel his remaining meetings, then to someone named Charlotte. Yes, Charlotte, I have her. She's fine. Harris is at Methodist Hospital, stable but serious. Can you? Yes, thank you. I'll call you later. He ended the call and set his phone face down on the table. I'm sorry, I needed to let people know she's safe. Of course. Sophia sat next to Maya, her small body pressed against the wall. Malik, ever friendly, was already chattering away. My name's Malik and I'm 5 years old, and I go to Henderson Elementary, and today we learned about the water cycle, and Miss Patricia says, I'm really good at reading and I can read all by myself, and he paused for breath. What's your name? Sophia, the girl said softly. That's a pretty name. Do you like dinosaurs? I really like dinosaurs. My favorite is the Triceratops because it has 3 horns and— Malik baby, take a breath, Maya said gently, but she was smiling. This was what her son did, filled silences with his boundless energy and joy. It's okay, Daniel said. Sophia hasn't talked much lately. It's nice to hear conversation. There was something in the way he said it that made Maya look at him more closely. The expensive suit couldn't hide the exhaustion in his face, the deep lines around his eyes, the gray threading through his dark hair at the temples. How long has Mr. Harris worked for you? Maya asked. 15 years. He was my father's driver before he was mine. He's— Daniel's voice caught. He's family. They're keeping him overnight for observation, but the doctors say he should be okay. It was a mild heart attack, but still, that must have been frightening. Not as frightening as realizing my daughter had been standing in the rain for hours because I was too busy to answer my phone. Daniel looked at Sophia with such profound sadness that Maya's heart ached. I almost lost her. If you hadn't found her, if something had happened. But nothing did happen, Maya said firmly. She's safe, that's what matters. The food arrived, and for a few minutes they ate in companionable silence. Maya tried not to wolf down her burger, tried to maintain some dignity, but she was so hungry that it was difficult. The first real meal she'd had in 2 days, and it was glorious. Malik ate with gusto, telling Sophia about each bite as if narrating a documentary. This is the best French fry I've ever had. It's crispy on the outside, but soft on the inside. Try one. Sophia took a fry and nibbled it. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. There it is, Daniel whispered, watching his daughter. There's my girl. After a moment, he turned to Maya. May I ask what you do? For work? Maya hesitated, then decided honesty was the easiest path. I was supposed to start tonight washing dishes at Tony's Grill, but I had to cancel, and they filled the position. Daniel's expression shifted. You lost your job because of Sophia. I chose to stay with Sophia. That's different. No, it's not. Daniel set down his coffee cup carefully. You sacrificed your job to keep my daughter safe. That's not nothing. Anyone would have done the same. No, Daniel said quietly. They wouldn't have. Most people would have called the police and moved on. You stayed. You used your last money to buy her food. You gave her your jacket. He paused. Why? Maya looked at Malik, then at Sophia, trying to find the words to explain something that felt instinctive, not rational. 6 months ago, my mother died of cancer. We'd spent everything on her treatment, and it still wasn't enough. After she passed, I had nothing. No job, no savings, about to be evicted. I was standing in line at a food pantry with Malik, feeling like the lowest I'd ever been, when this old woman in front of me turned around and gave me her bag of groceries, just handed it to me and said, "You need this more than I do, baby girl." I tried to refuse, but she wouldn't hear it. Maya's voice grew thick with emotion. She said, "When you have nothing left to give, that's when giving matters most." I didn't understand what she meant until today. I had $2.35 to my name, and I could have bought myself a coffee and crackers, but Sophia needed food more than I needed caffeine. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough. "I'm sorry about your mother." "Thank you, and I'm sorry you were in that position, that anyone is in that position." Maya shrugged. It is what it is, we manage. Mama's really strong, Malik piped up proudly. She takes care of everyone. She used to be a nurse, but she had to stop to take care of Grandma. You were a nurse? Daniel asked, studying to be one. Pediatric nursing. I had a year left when my mother got sick, but the medical bills piled up, and I had to drop out to care for her and work full-time. Maya didn't mention the collections calls, the bankruptcy she'd barely avoided, the shame of accepting food stamps while her mother slowly died. After she passed, I kept meaning to go back, but life kept getting in the way. That's a noble profession, Daniel said. My late wife Emily was a doctor, pediatric surgeon. The past tense hung in the air. I'm sorry, Maya said softly. It's been 13 months, aneurysm. One moment she was there, laughing at breakfast, planning Sophia's birthday party, and the next, he stopped, his jaw working. Sophia found her. She was the one who called 911. Maya's eyes flew to Sophia, who had gone very still, her sandwich forgotten. Oh sweetheart, Maya breathed. She hasn't been the same since, Daniel continued, his voice barely above a whisper. She barely speaks, barely eats. The therapist says it's her way of coping, of protecting herself from feeling too much pain. I've tried everything, medication, different therapists, changing schools, nothing helps. She's disappearing a little more each day, and I don't know how to bring her back. Without thinking, Maya reached over and gently took Sophia's hand. The girl didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned slightly into Maya's side. You're a very brave girl, Maya said to Sophia. Your mama would be so proud of how strong you are. Sophia's eyes filled with tears, the first real emotion Maya had seen from her, besides that ghost of a smile. I miss her, she whispered. I know baby, I know. Maya pulled Sophia into a hug, and the girl clung to her, silent sobs, shaking her thin frame. Daniel watched them, his own eyes wet, as Malik quietly patted Sophia's back, his small face serious with the gravity of comforting someone in pain. When Sophia finally pulled back, she looked at her father. Daddy, can Maya and Malik stay with us for a while? Daniel looked at Maya, and something passed between them, an understanding, a possibility. I'd like that, he said carefully, if Maya would consider it. After they finished dinner, Daniel walked them to his car. The rain had stopped, leaving the city washed clean and glistening under the streetlights. Let me drive you home, he said. It's the least I can do. Maya thought about their tiny efficiency apartment, about the eviction notice that had arrived yesterday, giving them 7 days to vacate. She thought about the shelter intake form she'd picked up last week, just in case. Okay, she said quietly. Thank you. The drive was quiet. Malik fell asleep almost immediately, his head resting against Maya's shoulder. Sophia sat in the front passenger seat, staring out the window but occasionally glancing back at Maya, as if afraid she might disappear. When they pulled up to the weathered apartment complex in the 3rd ward, with its peeling paint and flickering security lights, Daniel didn't comment. He simply put the car in park, and turned to face Maya. I'd like to make you a proposition, he said. And I know this is going to sound strange, but please hear me out. Maya's guard went up immediately. She'd heard propositions before, offers that came with uncomfortable strings attached. I'm listening, she said cautiously. Sophia connected with you tonight, in a way she hasn't connected with anyone since Emily died. I saw it. She talked to you. She cried, which she hasn't done in months. She asked if you could stay with us. Daniel took a breath. My nanny quit 3 weeks ago, said she couldn't handle Sophia's silence anymore, that it was too depressing. I've been managing on my own with Mr. Harris's help, but today proved that's not sustainable. He turned to look at his daughter, who had fallen asleep against the window. I'd like to offer you a position, through a proper agency, everything above board and legal. You'd care for Sophia after school, help prepare meals, be there in case of emergencies. The position would include a salary, health insurance, and housing in our guest cottage for you and Malik. We'd start with a trial period, maybe 2 weeks, and if it works for everyone, we could discuss something more permanent. Maya stared at him, waiting for the catch. I know you don't know me, Daniel continued. I know this must seem suspicious, but I'm desperate, Maya. I'm watching my daughter fade away, and tonight, For the first time in over a year, I saw a spark of life in her eyes. "You did that, you and Malik. Why me?" Maya asked bluntly. "You could hire anyone, someone with credentials, references, experience." "I could," Daniel agreed. "But credentials don't mean much, when what my daughter needs is someone who genuinely cares. You spent your last few dollars on a sandwich for a stranger's child. You lost a job to keep her safe. That tells me more about your character than any resume could. You don't know anything about me. I know the important things. I know you're kind. I know you put a child's welfare above your own. I know you faced hardship, and came through it with your humanity intact." He paused. "And I know you need help as much as I do." The vulnerability in that admission caught Maya off guard. "I want everything in writing," she said finally. "Contract through a legitimate agency, background check, the whole process. I won't have anyone questioning my character, or saying I took advantage of a situation. Of course, I'll have my HR director recommend an agency first thing Monday morning. They'll handle all the paperwork, run background checks on both of us, ensure everything is legal and above board. You'll have a formal contract spelling out duties, hours, salary, benefits, everything transparent. And if it doesn't work out, then you get 2 weeks' pay as severance, a good reference, and my eternal gratitude for trying." Daniel met her eyes. "But I think it will work out. I think you might be exactly what Sophia needs, what we both need." Maya looked down at Malik, sleeping peacefully in her arms, then at Sophia, small and fragile in the front seat. She thought about the eviction notice upstairs, about the dwindling options and growing desperation. "Okay," she heard herself say, 2 weeks, trial period. "But if at any point it doesn't feel right, I'm gone. No questions, no guilt." "Deal." Daniel extended his hand. Maya shook it, sealing an agreement that would change all their lives in ways none of them could predict. "Can you start Monday?" Daniel asked. "That gives us the weekend to get the paperwork started, and prepare the cottage." "Monday works." Maya hesitated. "Mr. Whitaker, I need to ask, this isn't about anything other than caring for Sophia, right? I need to be clear about boundaries." "Absolutely," Daniel said firmly. "This is a professional arrangement. You'd be an employee with all the protections and respect that entails. I'm not looking for anything else. I'm just a father trying to help his daughter." Something in his directness put Maya at ease. "Okay then, Monday." As she carried Malik upstairs to their tiny apartment, Maya wondered what she'd just agreed to. But when she opened the door and saw the eviction notice still taped to the inside, she knew she'd made the only choice she could. Sometimes you had to take a leap of faith. Sometimes you had to trust that kindness given would be returned. And sometimes, just sometimes, a sandwich shared in the rain could change everything. Monday morning arrived, with typical Houston humidity, the sun already blazing by 8 o'clock, despite the previous week's rain. Maya stood outside the Whitaker property, in River Oaks, Malik's hand in hers, staring at the iron gates with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The house beyond was a sprawling single-story ranch-style home, all clean lines and large windows, set back from the street behind manicured lawns and heritage oak trees. It was beautiful without being ostentatious, elegant in a way that spoke of old money rather than new. Maya pressed the call button on the gate intercom. Yes, a woman's voice, professional but warm.
"This is Maya Johnson. I'm here to see Mr. Whitaker." "Of course, Miss Johnson. Come right in." The gate swung open silently. Daniel met them at the front door, dressed more casually than the night they'd met, in khakis and a blue button-down with the sleeves rolled up. He looked less exhausted, though the shadows under his eyes suggested he still wasn't sleeping well. "Maya, Malik, welcome. Come in please." He ushered them inside. The interior was exactly what Maya had expected: polished hardwood floors, high ceilings, tasteful artwork on the walls. But what struck her most were the personal touches everywhere. Sophia's drawings on the refrigerator, held up by magnets shaped like medical instruments. A collection of well-worn board games stacked on a shelf in the family room. Photographs covering an entire wall chronicling Sophia's life from newborn to now. In every photo from before a year ago, a beautiful dark-haired woman with Sophia's eyes smiled out at the camera. Emily Whitaker had been stunning, but more than that, she'd been vibrant. The love between her and Daniel was evident in every picture where they stood together.
Sophia's at school, Daniel said following Maya's gaze. But she's excited to see you this afternoon. She's all she talked about all weekend. Is Mr. Harris doing better? Maya asked. Much better, thank you. He's being released from the hospital tomorrow. Full recovery expected, though he's going to be taking it easy for a while. I've hired a substitute driver temporarily, but honestly, I'm thinking I might just drive Sophia myself from now on. I've been relying too much on other people. A well-dressed black woman in her 50s appeared from the hallway. Mr. Whitaker, the agency director, is online too. Thank you, Patricia. Maya, this is Patricia Henderson, my executive assistant. She works from the home office most days. Patricia, this is Maya Johnson. Patricia extended her hand with a warm smile. It's wonderful to meet you, Miss Johnson. Mr. Whitaker has told me how you helped Sophia last week. We're all very grateful. Please call me Maya, and you can call me Patricia. Now the agency director wants to go over the contract details with you both. They've prepared everything already. Background checks are in process, all very efficient. Shall we use the study? The next hour was spent going over paperwork. The agency Elite Care Solutions had indeed been thorough. Maya would be employed through them, not directly by Daniel, which provided legal protection for everyone. The contract spelled out her duties after school care for Sophia from 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. on weekdays, occasional evening or weekend hours by prior arrangement, basic meal preparation, homework assistance, and companionship. The salary made Maya's eyes widen. $45 per hour, paid biweekly through direct deposit. Health insurance fully covered. The guest cottage provided rent-free, with utilities included. After taxes, she'd be making more than she'd ever dreamed of as a part-time caregiver. This is too much, she said to Daniel when Patricia left them alone to review the documents. It's what the position is worth, Daniel replied. Elite Care Solutions set the rate based on market standards for someone with your nursing background caring for a child with special emotional needs. If anything, it's on the low end. But I don't have my degree. You have something better. Genuine compassion and a gift for connecting with hurting kids. That's priceless. Daniel pointed to a clause in the contract. There's also an educational assistance program. After 6 months of employment, you'd be eligible for tuition reimbursement if you wanted to complete your nursing degree. Evening or online classes, whatever works with your schedule. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Why are you doing this? Because my daughter smiled for the first time in a year when she was with you. Because you deserve a chance to finish what you started. Because helping others is what Emily would have wanted. Daniel's voice grew thick. My wife believed everyone deserved opportunities, not charity. She always said the best gift you could give someone wasn't money, but the means to build their own future. This is me trying to honor that belief. Maya signed the contract with shaking hands. After the paperwork was complete, Daniel walked them across the property to the guest cottage. It was a charming structure built in the same style as the main house but on a smaller scale. Inside was a spacious bedroom, a full bathroom with a deep soaking tub, a kitchenette with modern appliances, and a living area with comfortable furniture and a flat-screen TV. It's not huge, Daniel said apologetically. But it's private, and it's yours for as long as you need it. It's perfect, Maya breathed. Compared to their efficiency apartment, it was a palace. The internet password is on the counter. Cables included. There's a washer and dryer in the closet there. Oh, and I took the liberty of stocking the fridge with basics. If you need anything else, just let Patricia know, or add it to the grocery list on the tablet. The house account covers household groceries. After Daniel left them to settle in, Maya stood in the middle of the cottage and slowly turned in a circle. Malik was already exploring, opening cabinets and exclaiming over every discovery. Mama, there's a TV in our room, and look, real towels that match. Maya sank onto the couch and let herself cry, great heaving sobs of relief and exhaustion and hope. For the first time in months, they had a real home, they had security, they had a chance. When she'd cried herself out, she found Malik sitting next to her, his small hand patting her knee. It's okay, Mama, he said seriously. These are happy tears, right? Yes, baby, she pulled him into her lap. These are very happy tears. That first week passed in a gentle rhythm that felt almost dreamlike to Maya. Each morning she'd wake in the cottage to sunlight streaming through real curtains, not the torn sheet that had covered their apartment window. She'd make Malik breakfast in their kitchenette, then walk him to his new school, Henderson Elementary, just 6 blocks away. Daniel had helped with the transfer, providing proof of residency and handling the paperwork. The school secretary had given Maya a knowing look when she saw the River Oaks address, but if she had questions about Maya's situation, she kept them to herself. After dropping Malik off, Maya would return to the cottage and handle chores, or sometimes Patricia would ask for help with light household tasks. But mostly Patricia seemed to want Maya rested and ready for when Sophia came home. That was the heart of her job, and Maya took it seriously. At 2:45 each afternoon, Daniel would pull up to the main house, Sophia buckled in the back seat of his Tesla. He'd taken to picking her up himself every day, leaving work early despite the obvious strain it put on his schedule. "I missed 8 years of tuck-ins and school pickups," he'd said when Maya commented on it. "I'm not missing any more." Sophia would emerge from the car with her pink backpack, her face still holding that distant quality, but her eyes would scan the yard until they found Maya. Then just a flicker of warmth, a ghost of a smile. "Hi, sweetheart," Maya would say, and Sophia would walk over, not running but deliberate, and take Maya's hand. Those afternoon hours became sacred time. They'd start with a snack, usually fruit and cheese that Patricia had prepared. Then homework, which Sophia completed mechanically but thoroughly. Then the real work began, coaxing Sophia back to life. Maya didn't push. She'd learned early that direct questions made Sophia retreat further into herself. Instead she'd talk about her own day, about Malik's adventures at school, about small observations that required no response. "You know what I saw this morning? A cardinal building a nest in the oak tree by the cottage. She's been flying back and forth all day, gathering little twigs. Reminds me of how your mama probably felt getting ready for you to be born, making everything just right." Sophia would listen, sometimes looking up from her coloring or her book but rarely speaking. It was Malik who broke through first. On Wednesday of that first week, he came bounding home from school full of excitement about a classroom pet, a hamster named Mr. Whiskers. "And he has this wheel, and he runs and runs and runs but he never goes anywhere, and Miss Patricia says that's how grown-ups feel sometimes." And I asked her if that meant she felt like a hamster, and she laughed so hard she cried. Sophia had been sitting at the kitchen table pushing carrot sticks around her plate, but at Malik's story, her lips twitched. Then she giggled, actually giggled. Malik stopped mid-story, his eyes wide. "You laughed." Sophia's hand flew to her mouth, as if she'd done something wrong. "That's wonderful, sweetie," Maya said quickly. "Your laugh is beautiful. Malik's stories are pretty funny, aren't they?" Sophia nodded slowly. "Do you want to hear more about Mr. Whiskers?" Malik asked, moving closer. Another nod. And just like that, a bridge was built. For the next hour, Malik regaled Sophia with every detail of his day, embellishing shamelessly, and Sophia listened with growing animation. She didn't talk much, but she smiled, she reacted, she was present. When Daniel came home that evening, he found all 3 of them in the family room. Malik was demonstrating how Mr. Whiskers ran on his wheel, spinning in circles until he got dizzy and fell down, which made Sophia laugh again. Daniel stood in the doorway, his briefcase forgotten, watching his daughter with tears streaming down his face. Maya caught his eye, and smiled. "Small victories," she mouthed. He nodded, unable to speak. By Friday, Sophia was talking more, at least to Maya and Malik, simple sentences at first. "Can I have more juice? I like this book, Malik is funny." On Saturday, Daniel had insisted Maya take the day off, but she'd hesitated to leave Sophia. "How about we all go somewhere together?" Daniel had suggested. "The zoo maybe, if everyone's interested." "Zoo?" Malik had shouted. "Can we, Mama? Please." Maya had looked at Sophia, who'd nodded eagerly. So they'd gone to the Houston Zoo, all 4 of them, like a family but not quite. Daniel had insisted on paying for everything, waving off Maya's attempts to contribute. They'd eaten overpriced hot dogs, and watched the elephants, and laughed at the monkeys' antics. At one point, in front of the tiger exhibit, Sophia had slipped her hand into Maya's on one side, and Daniel's on the other, creating a chain that included Malik, who'd grabbed Daniel's other hand. "We're connected," Sophia had said softly. "Like a family." Daniel had looked at Maya over their children's heads, his expression complicated, grateful, hopeful, and something else Maya couldn't quite name. It was perfect. It was temporary. It was everything Maya hadn't known she'd been needing. That night, after tucking both kids into their respective beds, Maya and Daniel found themselves sitting on the back patio, the Houston night warm and heavy with the scent of jasmine. "She's coming back," Daniel said quietly. "I can see it happening. The light's returning to her eyes." "She's a strong girl," Maya replied. "She just needed time, and someone to be patient with her." "She needed you." Daniel turned to face her. "I don't know how to thank you adequately. You've given me back my daughter." "We're only a week in," Maya cautioned. "Don't count your chickens yet. Still, what you've done, what you're doing, it's extraordinary." They sat in companionable silence for a while, listening to the night sounds of the city. "Can I ask you something?" Daniel said finally. "Sure. That woman at the food pantry, the one who gave you her groceries. Did you ever see her again? Get a chance to thank her?" Maya shook her head. "No. I looked for her the next few times I went, but she never came back. I always wondered if she was an angel or something, you know. Like in those stories where someone appears exactly when you need them, and then vanishes. Maybe she was," Daniel said softly. "Or maybe she was just someone who understood that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness echo the longest." Maya thought about that, as she walked back to the cottage that night. About sandwiches and groceries and jobs lost and found. About the way generosity could ripple outward in ways you'd never expect. She was beginning to understand that she hadn't just helped Sophia that rainy day on Westheimer. She'd helped herself too. They were healing each other, all four of them, knitting together torn places with patience and presence, and small daily acts of care. It was beautiful, it was fragile, and it was about to be tested in ways none of them could predict. The call came on Monday morning of their second week. Maya was helping Sophia choose an outfit for school when she heard Daniel's raised voice from the main house. "Charlotte, that's not necessary, because I'm handling it. She's not just some random person off the street." Fine, if you insist. But I'm telling you right now, this is insulting and unnecessary." He ended the call with more force than required. When Maya brought Sophia to the car for school, Daniel's expression was tight. "Everything okay?" Maya asked. "My sister-in-law is coming to visit. She'll be here this afternoon." He paused. "Charlotte can be intense. She means well, but she has very specific ideas about how things should be done." "Your wife's sister?" "Yes. She's been very involved in Sophia's life since Emily died. Sometimes too involved if I'm being honest." Something in his tone warned Maya to prepare herself. Charlotte Whitaker arrived at 3:30, just as Sophia and Malik were settling in for their afternoon snack. Maya heard the car first, a BMW SUV with custom plates that read Charity 1, pulling into the circular drive with purpose. Insuppin to read Charity 1 Purdy into the circular drive with purpose. The woman who emerged was tall and elegant, dressed in a designer pantsuit that probably cost more than Maya's old car had been worth. Her blonde hair was perfectly coiffed, her makeup impeccable. She carried herself with the confidence of someone used to being the most important person in any room. "Theodore." She swept into the house without knocking, arms outstretched. Sophia stiffened in her chair. "Aunt Charlotte," she said dutifully, accepting a perfunctory kiss on the cheek. Charlotte's gaze swept over the kitchen, taking in Malik at the table with his homework, Maya standing by the counter, the half-eaten snacks and school papers scattered across the granite. "And you must be the new helper," Charlotte said, her smile not reaching her eyes. "Mary, is it?" Maya corrected gently. "Maya Johnson, and this is my son Malik. How lovely." Charlotte's tone suggested it was anything but. "Theodore, darling, why don't you show Aunt Charlotte your room? I brought you some things from Paris. Can Malik come?" Sophia asked, her hand reaching for Malik's. "I think Malik and his mother should give us some family time, don't you?" Charlotte's suggestion was clearly not a suggestion at all. Maya started to object, but Daniel appeared in the doorway, his expression controlled but unhappy. "Charlotte, we discussed this on the phone. Maya is lovely to see you too, Daniel." Charlotte air-kissed his cheeks. We need to talk, privately. She emphasized the last word while looking pointedly at Maya. Sophia sweetie, why don't you and Malik finish your snack out on the patio? Maya said quickly, I'll be right here if you need me. Once the children were outside, Charlotte's pleasant facade dropped. Daniel darling, what were you thinking? Hiring someone off the street to care for Emily's daughter. I didn't hire her off the street. I hired her through Elite Care Solutions, one of the top agencies in Houston. Full background check, references, the works. Oh please, anyone can fool an agency. Do you know anything real about this woman? Where she came from? What her intentions are? Maya felt heat rise in her face, but she kept her expression neutral. She'd faced this kind of suspicion before. I know she kept Sophia safe when she was alone and frightened, Daniel said, his voice tight. I know she's helped my daughter more in 2 weeks than anyone has in the past year. How convenient. Charlotte's laugh was bitter. A poor woman with a child happens to find the daughter of one of Houston's wealthiest men. She just happens to have nursing training. She just happens to be exactly what you need at exactly the right moment. And you don't find that the least bit suspicious. You're being paranoid. I'm being protective. Charlotte moved closer to her brother-in-law. Emily would want me to protect Sophia, to protect you. That's what family does. By accusing Maya of what exactly? What do you think she's doing? I think she's worming her way into your life, into Sophia's heart, making herself indispensable. And then what? A lawsuit? Claims of inappropriate behavior? Or maybe she's just looking for a wealthy husband. That's enough, Daniel said sharply. But Charlotte wasn't finished. She turned to Maya directly. I've done some preliminary research, Miss Johnson. Care to explain your arrest record? Maya's stomach dropped. That was a misunderstanding. I was caught breaking into an apartment, trespassing. The charges may have been dropped, but the arrest stands. Would you like to explain to my brother-in-law why you didn't mention that in your application? I went back to my own apartment after being evicted to get my son's medication, Maya said, forcing herself to stay calm. The landlord had changed the locks. I went through a window. A neighbor called the police. When they arrived and I explained the situation, they let me take the medication and leave. The charges were dropped the same day. Convenient story. It's the truth. Maya looked at Daniel, pleading with him to believe her. I included it in my background check disclosure to the agency. They investigated and cleared me. It's all in my file. I'll verify that, Daniel said tightly. You do that. Charlotte gathered her purse. In the meantime, I've taken the liberty of hiring a private investigator to do a more thorough background check. If Miss Johnson has nothing to hide, she should have no objection. I have no objection to a legal investigation with my consent, Maya said, her voice shaking despite her efforts to control it. But I do object to being treated like a criminal for the crime of being poor. Charlotte's eyes flashed. This has nothing to do with money, and everything to do with protecting my family. By insulting someone who's done nothing but help. Daniel moved to stand beside Maya, a show of solidarity that made Charlotte's expression tighten. Charlotte, you've crossed a line, have I? Or have you crossed one by bringing a stranger into Emily's home, letting her sleep in Emily's guest cottage, letting her bond with Emily's daughter? Charlotte's voice broke. How can you replace her so easily? The pain in her words shifted something in the room. This wasn't just about Maya. This was about grief and loss, and the fear of moving on. I'm not replacing Emily, Daniel said gently. No one could replace Emily, but Sophia needs help, and Maya has provided that help. This isn't about Emily, it's about Sophia's welfare, and I'm supposed to just trust your judgment. You who was so buried in work you didn't even notice your wife was unhappy those last few months. You who let her die alone while you were in a board meeting. The cruelty of it hung in the air. Daniel went white. That's not fair, Maya said quietly. Stay out of this, Charlotte snapped. You don't know anything about us, about what we've been through. I know grief, Maya replied. I know loss. I know what it's like to lose someone you love and feel like you're failing everyone who's left. I know what it's like to be angry at the world and looking for someone to blame. Charlotte stared at her, something flickering in her expression. But taking that anger out on me, or on Daniel, isn't going to bring your sister back. It's just going to push away the people who are trying to help Sophia heal. For a moment, Maya thought Charlotte might actually listen. But then her expression hardened again. I'll be in touch when my investigator has his report, she said coldly. In the meantime, I'll be watching very carefully, Miss Johnson. One misstep, one hint of impropriety, and I'll make sure you never work in this city again. She left without saying goodbye to Sophia. In the silence that followed, Maya realized her hands were shaking. Daniel reached out and steadied them with his own. I'm sorry, he said. I should have warned you more explicitly. Charlotte has been difficult since Emily died. She's grieving, Maya said. I understand that. That doesn't excuse what she said. No, but it explains it. Maya pulled her hands back gently. Mr. Whitaker, maybe this isn't a good idea, if my presence is causing family conflict. Don't, Daniel interrupted. Please don't let Charlotte's paranoia chase you away. Sophia needs you, and he hesitated. We need you. From the patio, they could hear Mullick and Sophia laughing about something. I need this job, Maya admitted, but not badly enough to cause harm to Sophia's family relationships. You're not causing harm. Charlotte is. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Maya had come to recognize as a sign of stress. She's been trying to control every aspect of Sophia's life since Emily died. She means well, but she's suffocating us. This was inevitable. If it wasn't about you, it would be about something else. Still, a private investigator. We'll find nothing because there's nothing to find. You did nothing wrong. Being poor isn't a crime, despite what Charlotte seems to think. Maya wanted to believe him, but she'd learned the hard way that sometimes the truth didn't matter as much as perception, and in Charlotte's eyes, Maya was already guilty. The investigator's report arrived on Thursday morning via courier. Charlotte had it hand-delivered to Daniel's office, copying the board of directors on her accompanying email. Patricia called Maya immediately. You need to come to the main house. Mr. Whitaker wants to talk to you. Maya's stomach churned as she walked across the yard. She'd done nothing wrong, but that didn't mean she wouldn't be punished for it. Daniel was in his study, the report spread across his desk. His expression was unreadable. Close the door, he said quietly. Maya did, her heart pounding. I've read the report. Charlotte was very thorough. He looked up at her. Why didn't you tell me about your mother being at Methodist Hospital? Because she was a patient there. That's all. She had cancer. They treated her. What does that have to do with anything? Methodist Hospital is where we were conducting trials for our new dialysis machine. The one that's about to revolutionize treatment for kidney disease and generate billions in revenue. Your mother was on the same floor where the trials were being conducted. Maya felt the blood drain from her face. You think I had something to do with your research? Mr. Whitaker, my mother had lung cancer, not kidney disease. She was never anywhere near your trials. But you visited her there. You had nursing training. You had access to my dying mother's room. Not to your research facilities. Maya's voice rose despite her efforts to stay calm. Are you seriously suggesting I engineered meeting Sophia as part of some elaborate corporate espionage scheme? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm asking for an explanation. The explanation is that my mother got cancer and was treated at one of the best hospitals in Houston, the same hospital where your company happens to conduct research. That's not a conspiracy, that's a coincidence. Daniel studied her for a long moment. Charlotte also points out that there's no record of Sophia being dismissed early that day. She called the school. They claim all students were released at the normal time. Maya felt as if the floor had dropped out from under her. What? Miss Peterson, Sophia's teacher, says she doesn't remember walking any student to a bus stop. The school has no record of Mr. Harris calling in sick or anyone requesting early pickup. That's impossible.
Sophia told me she'd been waiting since 3 o'clock. She was soaked through. She was there, Mr. Whitaker. I didn't make that up. I know she was there. What I don't know is how she got there, or why. The school says she never left early. My records show Harris was supposed to pick her up at the normal time, but somehow, she ended up alone on that corner 2.5 hours before school ended. You think I'm lying about the timeline? I think something doesn't add up. Maya felt tears of frustration burning behind her eyes. I found a lost little girl in the rain. I helped her. I lost a job doing it. And now I'm being accused of orchestrating the whole thing as part of some corporate spy plot. Do you hear how insane that sounds? I hear how it looks from Charlotte's perspective. A woman with nursing training, whose mother died in the hospital where our most valuable research is being conducted, who happens to find my daughter at exactly the right moment to insert herself into our lives. You forgot poor and black, Maya said bitterly. Those seem to be the qualities Charlotte finds most suspicious. Daniel flinched. That's not fair, isn't it? Would she be this suspicious if I were a wealthy white woman from River Oaks? Or is it just that someone like me couldn't possibly be in your home for any legitimate reason? Maya, no. She pulled off the key card Daniel had given her for the cottage and set it on his desk. I'm done. I won't stay where I'm not trusted. Malik and I will be out by morning. Wait. Daniel stood reaching for her arm, but Maya pulled away. For what? So you can accuse me of stealing on my way out. So Charlotte can have me arrested for being poor in the wrong neighborhood. Maya's voice broke. I actually thought this was real. I thought you saw me as a person, not just a convenient solution to your childcare problem.
It is real. You are real to us. Then why are you questioning me like I'm a criminal? Daniel had no answer to that. Maya left him standing there and went back to the cottage. She began throwing their belongings into bags, her hands shaking with rage and hurt. Malik watched from the bed, his eyes wide. Mama, are we leaving? Yes, baby, we're leaving. But what about Sophia? She'll be sad. Maya's heart broke at the truth of it. I know, but sometimes adults make choices that hurt kids, and there's nothing we can do about it. She was nearly finished packing when she heard voices outside. Not from the main house but from the side yard near Daniel's home office window. Moving to her own window, Maya peered out carefully. Someone was crouched beneath Daniel's office window doing something to the frame. As Maya watched, the figure produced a small device and attached it to the window sash. A bug. Someone was planting a listening device. Maya's breath caught. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? Someone's breaking into a home office she gave the River Oaks address. They're planting what looks like a surveillance device. They're there right now. Officers are on the way. Ma'am, are you safe? Can you get to a secure location? I'm in a separate building. I'm okay. Maya kept her eyes on the figure. Wait. Oh my God. Ma'am, what is it? I recognize them. It's Charlotte Whitaker. She's the one planting the device. The police arrived within 6 minutes, but by then Charlotte had finished her work and was walking calmly around to the front of the house. Daniel, hearing the sirens, came outside just as 2 patrol officers were approaching his sister-in-law. Officers, thank goodness you're here, Charlotte said smoothly. I was just about to call you myself. I've discovered evidence that Mr. Whitaker's employee has been. Ma'am, we need you to put your hands where we can see them. The older officer interrupted. Charlotte blinked. Excuse me, we received a call about someone tampering with Mr. Whitaker's property. The caller identified you. That's ridiculous. I'm family. I have every right to be planting surveillance devices. Daniel's voice was cold as ice. He held up his phone, showing them all a security camera feed. My system recorded everything, Charlotte. Everything. Charlotte's face went white. Daniel, you don't understand. I was trying to protect you. That woman, Maya, she's not who she claims to be. No, you were trying to spy on me. In my own home. Breaking God knows how many laws. Daniel looked at the officers. I want to press charges. Mr. Whitaker, please. Charlotte's composure finally cracked. I'm Emily's sister. I'm Sophia's aunt. You can't do this. You just tried to bug my home office where I conduct confidential business. where I have privileged communications with my attorneys and my board. Do you have any idea how serious this is? I hired an investigator. He said Maya was suspicious. He said what you paid him to say. Daniel interrupted. And you believed it because it fit your narrative. Because you couldn't stand the thought of someone new in Emily's space helping Sophia heal. That's not true, isn't it? Daniel's voice softened slightly, but his expression remained firm. Charlotte, I know you loved Emily. I know you're hurting, but you crossed a line. Multiple lines. The officers were patient, letting the family drama play out, but finally the younger one cleared his throat. Mr. Whitaker, do you want to file charges or not? Daniel looked at Charlotte, at this woman who had been part of his family for 15 years, who had held Sophia as a newborn, who had sobbed in his arms at Emily's funeral. No, he said finally, no charges. But Charlotte, you're not welcome in this house anymore. Not until you get help. Real help, not just grief counseling but therapy for whatever this paranoia is. Daniel, I'm serious. You stay away from me, from Sophia, from Maya, until you can prove to me that you're stable. And if I ever catch you anywhere near my property without permission again, I will press charges. Family or not. Charlotte left without another word, her BMW peeling out of the driveway with enough force to leave rubber on the pavement. After the police took statements and left, Daniel found Maya still in the cottage, sitting on the bed surrounded by half-packed bags. You called it in, he said from the doorway. I saw her from the window. I didn't know it was her at first, just someone doing something suspicious. You could have ignored it. After the way I treated you today, you could have just let her bug my office, let her get whatever information she was after. That's not who I am. Maya looked up at him, her eyes red from crying. No matter how angry I am, I'm not going to let someone victimize you. Daniel sat down beside her on the bed, careful to maintain a respectful distance. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You were right. I let Charlotte plant seeds of doubt, and I watered them instead of coming to you directly. You didn't trust me. I was scared, terrified actually, of making a mistake that would hurt Sophia, of being fooled, he hesitated, of caring about you and having it be a lie. Maya looked at him sharply. Caring about me, you've become important to us. To Sophia obviously, but also to me. These past 2 weeks, this house has felt alive again. Like a home, not just a place where we exist. I was so afraid it was too good to be true, that when Charlotte gave me an excuse to doubt, I took it. That's not fair to either of us. I know that now. Daniel pulled a folder from inside his jacket. This is the real investigator's report. The one I commissioned myself, through my corporate security team, with your signed consent that Elite Care Solutions had on file. It came in this morning before Charlotte's theatrical version arrived. He handed it to Maya. She opened it reluctantly. The report was thorough but fair. It documented her mother's illness and death, her financial struggles, her arrest and the circumstances around it. But it also included interviews with people who knew her mother's oncologist, who praised Maya's devoted care, the pastor of her church, who described her as one of the most selfless people I've ever known, neighbors who spoke of her kindness, Miss Jennifer from the daycare, who called her an exceptional mother. You're exactly who you appear to be, Daniel said quietly, someone who's faced hardship with grace, someone who puts others first, even at cost to yourself, someone extraordinary. Maya felt fresh tears building. Then why did you question me? Because I'm an idiot who's been burned by grief and betrayal, and hasn't learned to trust again. Because Charlotte is very good at planting seeds of doubt. Because I was too much of a coward to just ask you directly. He turned to face her fully. But I'm asking now, stay, please. Finish the trial period at least. Give me a chance to prove I'm not always this stupid. And Charlotte has shown her true colors. She's not allowed back until she gets professional help. If she violates that boundary, I'll get a restraining order if I have to. Maya wanted to trust him, wanted to believe this could work, but she'd been hurt too many times. I need time, she said finally. I need to think about whether I can trust you again. I understand. Daniel stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, Sophia keeps asking when you're coming back to the main house. She's made you a drawing. It's her, you, Malik, and me. She wrote family at the bottom. He left the drawing on the bed and walked out, giving Maya the space she'd asked for. Maya picked up the picture. 4 stick figures holding hands, smiling suns above their heads, flowers at their feet. In a child's careful printing, my family. She sat there holding it, until Malik came home from school, until she had to decide whether they were staying or going, whether trust once broken could be repaired. Maya didn't sleep that night. She lay in the cottage's comfortable bed, staring at the ceiling, weighing her options. She could leave, find another job, start over somewhere else. It wouldn't be the first time she'd had to rebuild from nothing, but she kept thinking about Sophia's drawing, about the little girl who'd been so lost and was finally finding her way back, about Malik's joy at having a friend and a stable home, about the nursing degree that was suddenly within reach again, about Daniel's apology and the vulnerability it took for a man like him to admit he was wrong. Around 2 in the morning, she made her decision. In the morning she didn't pack. She got Malik ready for school, walked him to Henderson Elementary, and then went to the main house. Patricia answered the door, her expression carefully neutral. "Is Mr. Whitaker available?" "He's in his office. He left instructions that you should be shown in immediately if you came by." Daniel stood when she entered, hope and fear warring on his face. "I'll stay," Maya said without preamble. "On 3 conditions, anything. First, no more background checks, no more investigations, no more suspicions. If you have a question about me, you ask me directly. Deal, deal. Second, if Charlotte wants to be part of Sophia's life, she has to go through family therapy. With you, with Sophia, with professionals. No more dropping by, whenever she feels like it, to critique how you're raising your daughter. Already scheduled the first session for next week. She's agreed to participate or lose access to Sophia entirely. Good. And third," Maya paused, gathering courage. "Third, we need to be clear about boundaries, professional boundaries, because Sophia's picture last night called us a family, and we need to address what that means and what it doesn't mean." Daniel nodded slowly. "You're right, we do need to talk about that. May I be honest with you, please? These past 2 weeks have been the first time since Emily died that I felt like I could breathe. You've brought life back to this house, Sophia's healing. Malik makes me laugh, and you," he paused, searching for words, "you've reminded me that there's goodness in the world, that not everyone has ulterior motives, that kindness still exists. Mr. Whitaker," "Daniel, please call me Daniel." "Daniel," Maya corrected. "I appreciate that, but I'm your employee, Sophia's caregiver. Those boundaries need to stay clear, especially for the children." "You're absolutely right." Daniel moved to his desk and pulled out a document, "which is why I've had our family attorney draw this up. It's a clear employment contract with explicit boundaries, duties and protections for everyone. No gray areas, everything professional and above board." Maya took the document and read through it carefully. It was exactly what she'd needed: clear expectations, proper compensation, defined work hours, and most importantly, clauses protecting her from exactly the kind of suspicion Charlotte had subjected her to. "This is perfect," she said. Thank you for giving us another chance. Giving me another chance." Daniel extended his hand. "To a fresh start." Maya shook it firmly. "To a fresh start." That afternoon, when Sophia came home from school, she found Maya waiting as usual. The girl's face lit up in a way it hadn't before, pure joy replacing the cautious hope. "You're still here." Sophia ran to her, and Maya caught her in a hug. "I'm still here, sweetheart. I'm not going anywhere. Aunt Charlotte said you were bad, that you were going to hurt us." Maya's heart clenched. She knelt down to Sophia's level. "Your Aunt Charlotte is very sad because she misses your mama. Sometimes when people are sad, they get scared of new things. They worry about change, but she's getting help now, and hopefully she'll feel better soon." "Are you sad about your mama too?" "Every day," Maya admitted, "but being with you and helping you helps me feel better." "Does that make sense?" Sophia nodded. "You're like my second mama. Is that okay?" Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "I can never replace your first mama. She'll always be the most important person in your heart, and that's exactly how it should be. But I can love you and take care of you too. There's always room for more love. Like Malik's my brother, even though we don't have the same parents." "Exactly like that." Sophia seemed satisfied with this answer. She took Maya's hand. "Can we play the piano? Of course, they spent the afternoon at the piano, Sophia's playing growing more confident each day. She'd progressed from simple notes to actual songs, her small fingers dancing across the keys with increasing skill. When Daniel came home that evening, he found them all in the music room. Sophia playing, Malik singing along enthusiastically off-key, Maya harmonizing to cover his missed notes, all of them laughing. He stood in the doorway, his briefcase forgotten, and just watched. This was what Emily had wanted for Sophia, this joy, this music, this life. He could feel her presence in the room, not sad or haunting, but peaceful, approving. Over the following weeks they settled into their new normal. Charlotte did attend family therapy, and slowly, grudgingly, she began to accept Maya's place in their lives. It helped that Sophia bloomed under Maya's care, becoming more verbal, more engaged, more like the little girl she'd been before tragedy struck. True to his word, Daniel enrolled Maya in the Educational Assistance Program. By January she was taking online classes toward her nursing degree, studying late at night after both children were asleep. It was hard work, but it was work that mattered. Malik thrived too. He and Sophia became inseparable, true siblings in all but blood. Henderson Elementary had been a perfect fit, and his teachers raved about his progress. On a Sunday evening in late February, they gathered around the piano as had become their tradition. Sophia was playing a piece she'd been practicing for weeks, something Emily had loved. Her fingers moved confidently across the keys, and when she finished, everyone applauded. "Mama would have loved that," Sophia said, beaming. "She would have," Daniel agreed. "She would have loved all of this." Later, after the children were in bed, Daniel found Maya in the cottage, studying for an anatomy exam. "Can I interrupt for a minute?" he asked from the doorway. "Of course." Maya closed her textbook. "Everything okay?" "More than okay." Daniel sat in the chair across from her. "I wanted to tell you something. Charlotte and I had a breakthrough in therapy this week." She finally admitted why she was so resistant to you. "Why's that?" "Because she was afraid. Afraid that if Sophia bonded with you, she'd forget Emily. Afraid that I'd move on, and Emily would become just a memory we kept in pictures." He paused, "But she realized this week that's not how it works. Love doesn't run out. We don't have to choose between honoring Emily and accepting new people into our lives. That's a hard lesson to learn." "It is, but she's learning it. And so am I." Daniel met Maya's eyes. "I wanted to thank you for your patience with her, with me, with all of us. You could have walked away so many times. Most people would have. Most people didn't get the gift I got that night in the rain." Maya said softly, "When I gave Sophia my last few dollars, I thought I was making a sacrifice. I didn't realize I was making an investment." "In what?" "In all of us. In Sophia's healing, in Malik's future, in my own dreams that I'd given up on." Maya smiled. "My mother used to say that generosity given freely, even when it hurts, comes back tenfold. I never understood what she meant until now." Daniel was quiet for a moment. "I've been thinking about something," he said finally. "The trial period ended 2 weeks ago. We need to discuss a permanent arrangement." Maya's heart skipped. "I thought we had discussed it. The contract. The contract is fine for what it is, but I want to offer you something more. Full-time hours, benefits, and I want to make the educational assistance official. Not just tuition reimbursement, but a guarantee that we'll work around your class schedule, adjust your hours as needed, whatever it takes for you to finish your degree." "Daniel, that's too much. It's not enough. You've given us back our lives, Maya. The least I can do is give you the tools to build yours." He pulled out another document. "This is a 5-year contract with annual salary increases, full benefits for you and Malik, and an education guarantee. After you finish your degree, we can discuss whether you want to continue as Sophia's caregiver, or if you'd prefer to practice nursing. Either way, you'll have options." Maya looked at the numbers on the contract, and felt dizzy. This wasn't just a job, this was a future. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Because you deserve it. Because Sophia needs you. Because," Daniel hesitated, "because you've become family, whether either of us planned it or not, and family takes care of each other." Maya thought about Sophia's drawing, about the 4 stick figures holding hands, about the word family written in careful child printing. "Okay," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Okay, I'll sign." They shook hands formally, sealing the agreement, but then Daniel pulled her into a brief brotherly hug. "Thank you," he whispered, "for everything." As Maya walked back to the cottage that night, Houston's warm February air carrying the scent of jasmine and new beginnings, she thought about the journey that had brought her here. About a sandwich bought with last dollars, about a little girl lost in the rain, about choices made in moments that changed everything. She thought about her mother's words, "When you have nothing left to give, that's when giving matters most." She finally understood. The sandwich had been her nothing, her last everything, given freely to a stranger's child, and in return, she'd received not just a job or a home but a family, a future. A second chance at dreams she'd thought were lost forever. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness echo the loudest. Sometimes a simple gesture made in a moment of choice ripples out in ways you could never imagine. And sometimes, just sometimes, when you give away your last sandwich to a hungry child in the rain, you're not just feeding them for one meal, you're changing everyone's life forever.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.